This episode of Super Over is brought to you by DP World. From transporting the soil and grass 1,200 miles to New York for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup, through to the Beyond Boundaries initiative to make cricket more accessible. DP World's smart logistics help deliver the game at all levels. Smart logistics, beyond boundaries. Welcome to the Super Over here, live from the Oval. Just incredible to be here for all this. Jared Kimber, Jeremy Coney. Let's just start with the crowd, because I had this, not a fear is the wrong way, but I just felt the crowd yesterday deserved to see that hour. This crowd, they came strong. It was wonderful. They were so excited watching them come in. They all just wanted to see some cricket. And they got to see one of the best 56 minutes of cricket you will ever see, Jeremy Coney.
Couldn't agree more. We've actually agreed finally on this podcast. Yes, look, I guess, I don't know how many were here. Fifth day prices, so £25 for an adult and £1 for kids. That was great. I'm guessing, look, probably 25,000, 26,000, again, almost the same as yesterday. Certainly as I arrived, and they'd overtaken all the roads around the Oval, and they had made it and turned it into a pedestrian mall. I saw one guy going to his seat carrying 5 pints. Well, he was going to enjoy himself, but he's going to have to drink them fairly fast, I've got to say, in the 56 minutes. But what a fabulous crowd, a people's crowd, because of those prices. And I didn't think we'd get anything like the number that we got today. But man, did they enjoy it? Oh, when we said yesterday they were leaning in, these guys were wanting to get on the field and actually help their players.
It was incredible, the moment. And when England hit the first ball for 4, I did feel like about 25,000 people go, well, what are we going to do in 20 minutes time? And then the next ball was an inside edge past leg stump, which was almost out. But again, everyone was like, oh no, we might have just come all this way for nothing.
Yeah.
But that wasn't what happened, was it? It went the other way. Once Siraj got that ball in his hand, this just flipped again.
It did. And I mean, the excitement throughout the morning was palpable. Even long-standing, hardened, chronic cricket watchers like Jared and myself have watched thousands of games of cricket. It was very hard to not be engaged and to be almost moved by the amount of effort from the players, the thinking that went behind every ball, from the bowlers, the field, how they were spread. Are they coming in? Is he too deep? Is he too, shallow? Wherever. So it engaged every person. As far as the ball was concerned, I had 76 overs and it started to swing.
It was swinging.
It was extraordinary, everybody. We thought that it was going to be, England's day probably when they started. We thought that it would have helped when the game was prematurely finished last night.
Heavy roller.
It was going to be England's friend more than it was going to be India's. But they picked up an early wicket. Siraj was smart.
He bowled out swing. He'd been going for LBWs a lot last night, hadn't he? And occasionally slipping the ball down the leg side. He came in with a plan today. I'm going to try and bowl wide of off stump and make England chase the ball. And Smith did that. Shield Barry apparently said that he's never seen the English batters nervous than last night and this morning in a test match. And he's covered 500 off them as well. It was absolutely remarkable from that point of view. But Smith just didn't look quite on it this morning, did he?
No, well, you're allowed to let the ball go when it's not hitting the stumps. Yep. That's kind of a rule. And I felt that the bowling wide was very smart from Siraj, because he's mainly bowled wobble balls throughout this innings leading up to today. Today he decided, no, I'm going to start the ball on about 5.5 stumps, and I'm going to swing it away from the right-handers as well, so it goes wider. And fiddly-dee they went at it. They tried to play it. Well, Smith was probably the most dangerous batsman that was remaining today. He got out and was caught comfortably. And so then, of course, Overton, as you say, had smashed a couple of 4s, lucky one, and a good stroke.
But he changed against Overton, didn't he? He went back to bowling at the stumps. And
then he changed.
Yeah, and Overton was ready for the one swinging away. And he took the big front step, and he does have a big front step, across the line. And he just got his leg in the way, didn't he?
He did.
Clever bowling.
Yeah, very clever bowling. So he went back to the wobble ball against that and tried to hit the stumps. And the one bit of luck, really, that I think Siraj he's had an awful lot of bad luck throughout this series. And he got an umpire's decision to give it out on the field of play, and it was just clipping. So Overton was the second wicket to fall LBW.
And so at that point, we had Tongue and Atkinson out in the middle. and there was a little bit of,
Would Woakes arrive?
Yeah,
Is he hit the ground?
and then we saw him after a little while, so we were like, okay, he's definitely going to bat. But there was also, England were knocking back some singles, but then not knocking back other singles. Atkinson at one stage didn't know where he hit the ball, but he ran, and Tongue was like, but the ball's gone straight to the fielder. There was just a little bit of schoolboy cricket for a little while there, while the tail, and even India felt the pressure, didn't they?
Both teams under immense pressure. The 25th day of, slugging it. They were like kind of two boxers, old boxers. Here we are, leaning on each other, after 15 rounds. And then they'd separate and throw a few haymakers at each other, and they'd go back to leaning on each other again. Yeah, lots of mistakes, but it was compelling watching.
So there was a great moment when Prashant Krishna was bowling to Tongue, and Tongue had been batting okay for a number 10 in this situation. He'd missed a couple of balls and everything else, but he was hitting them okay. But Prashant Krishna gestured that he was going to bowl the short ball, and he moved the field for it, and then he bowled the full ball, and Tongue just wasn't there, was he?
He wasn't ready for it, and it was actually a perfect Yorker and hit the base of the off stump, off and middle. And so Tongue was gone. That was 3. Now we get down to the moving kind of part of, as out comes the injured Woakes.
I mean, it was an incredible moment. I watched him in the change room. He runs really quite passionately down the change room, and then he gets to the stairs, and as someone who has recently broken his arm very badly, it's the jolt of the stairs that gets you. You see him go grimace as he comes down. He's got his arm guard on his right arm, because he's going to bat left-handed. So he's going to bat left-handed.
I didn't know what he was going to bat.
He practiced left-handed, and he was going to bat left-handed, and he was going to bat with the arm guard on his right hand and hold the bat one-handed, as if he was going to bat left-handed. But his other arm, his actual left arm, was in a sling under his jumper, wasn't it? And then he came out on the field. This might be the last thing Chris Woakes ever does. This injury is bad. It's getting to that age and everything else. It was an inspiring thing to watch him come out and actually try, wasn't it?
Well, the whole crowd sort of stood and kind of applauded his effort and to come out. It's been done before quite a number of times in cricket that an injured player's come out last
Test.
Yeah, and so, but that aside, once you've got your arm in that position and locked in that position, and then you've also got a bat in the hand, the only free hand you've got, you're weighted on one side of you, you see, and you lose your balance.
He couldn't even run properly.
Well, the concern wasn't it? I think you might have mentioned that if they're going to run 2s or even a 3, and I think there was a 3 at one point.
There was a 2, wasn't there?
Yeah. But there was a 2 they had to run hard, that he might actually trip and fall on that shoulder again.
Yeah, it just looked like he was going to topple over.
He had to run a very fast by, if you remember as well.
He didn't know how to put the bat down at times. It was incredible to watch him having to work all of that out. And in the middle of this, Atkinson out of nowhere hits a 6 over long on, but that is dropped by Akash deep on the rope. But what was incredible was Akashdeep was at the long on off boundary, and we thought they were going to bowl wide of off stump, which Siraj tried to do, and so they put their better fielders on the offside.
Jadeja was moved.
It was Jadeja, yeah, and so he swapped with Akashdeep, and Siraj pulls the ball, well not pulls, sweeps the ball really to long on.
Yeah,
could have been caught by a better fielder, and instead Akashdeep drops it for 6.
Puts it down, and so that lowered the total remaining quite drastically. And then finally we got to a point where Siraj was bowling once again to Atkinson, and maybe he just had a sense. He's bowled an awful lot of overs, and I suppose he gets a lot of ideas. And maybe he thought he's going to try and do that again. He's going to try and slog sweep me again over that area. And so he went full. And this time,
he was out, fouled. 6 runs.
With a Yorker.
If he'd hit that for 6, the scores would have been tied. It was, the Indian fans went crazy for about a minute, and then everyone just stood. Everyone on the ground. No one was celebrating. Everyone was just like, we can't believe we went through that.
No, we don't know what to do now. It was very much that sense and a feeling around the ground, just everyone watching the players as they were just naturally celebrating a bit. Not excessive, by the way. It was quite calm and relaxed in that way, and not, there was joy, but they were knackered. It was quite simple. They were tired, fatigued. It is fatiguing.
You played in a test match where you had a huge 10th wicket partnership in the game.
Yep, and myself and Chatfield.
Yeah, and you said on air that this was more tense. What was it about this morning that was more tense? Or was it just the other time you had the bat in your hand so you weren't paying any attention?
Yeah. No, no, well, I was paying attention, but not so much to the tension
Yes.
of the game.
Yeah.
It was just, please do your job. Do what you need to do to get over the line. I'm sure once they got in the shed, they will be exhausted and they won't know quite why. And they'll all start to ask, could we have done it better if you're an England player? Just a bit better, just for a bit longer. And they'll come back better players, hopefully, because of that. But what a game. What a morning. One to remember, don't you think?
Definitely. Without any doubt, I'm not going to forget this. 2-2 after 25 days. 2-2. I think that feels fair. Yeah,
Fair result. Totally. 3-1 would have felt, to either side, I think, it would have flattered them a wee bit.
Yes. This was an arm wrestle, wasn't it, really?
It was.
We had 2 tests come down to the wire, and it was incredible cricket was played by everyone here. The most runs ever in a 5-test series. They took it as deep as you could possibly take it. That's the ambulance coming for me and Jeremy. We're finished here. We will see you. I have no idea when me and Jeremy will see you again on the Super Over. But thank you to everyone for their support throughout this series. Like, subscribe, do all those things. And we'll be back next time here on talkSPORT Cricket.